Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, players. How y'all doing? Y'all better get on in here. It's only two people here right now. Y'all know better than this. What's going on? What is going on, everybody? We're so happy to be here with you all today. We have a jam-packed show with a lot of interesting things to talk about. I'm very excited to have my special guest here today. I didn't think that I'd make it today because I'm telling you, your girl is not feeling good. I went and got my second COVID shot and it's got me on my butt. So I may not be as witty as I normally am because I'm just not feeling my best. But I'm just excited. I couldn't cancel the show. I said, there's no way I'm canceling the show with Lee and Jackie. There's absolutely no way. Like, I can't do that. I don't know when I'll ever be able to get them again. So I got to make sure that I'm here for this. I'm here for all of this, even if I got to come in with a bar bag. I'm
here. Poor Double-D. She's like, but she's doing it anyway.
So I tell you this, I really didn't expect to feel this bad, but I really felt bad, and I never call in to work, and I had to stay home today. I just couldn't do it. But you guys, so we have Lee here as our special guest, Breakfast Rant on TikTok. Man, I'm so in awe to have her with me right now. I just tell you, I'm just like, I'm fangirling over here secretly, you know.
Same.
Thanks, guys.
And then we have a fan favorite down here, Miss Jackie, Tired of Stupid. When I put out that I needed to find guests and who people would like to see, a lot of my players came in the comments and tagged Jackie. So I was like, hey, let me get on that. Hopefully she'll join. So I'm very excited to watch some of your
Honored
content.
To be here.
Really enjoy it. And I think that this is definitely going to be a good show, and I'm ready to hear your perspective. So I'm going to start with Lee. Lee, tell us about yourself. Give us your handles real quick.
I am Lee McGowan. I go by Politics Girl or Breakfast Rant online. I'm a freelance writer. I've been doing online political commentary since pre-Trump, since 2015. I started Politics Girl on YouTube back then because I just thought people didn't understand enough. And when you don't understand, you check out. And I thought if more people could understand even the most basic stuff, like why we have the caucus in Iowa or why the Supreme Court is important or that kind of thing, then they would be more inclined to pay attention. And I think once you're paying attention, then you care. And once you care, then you vote, and then we can make real change. And I was surprised after the second midterms with Obama, how many people I knew who were educated, well-informed people who just hadn't bothered to even vote because they were like, who cares? It doesn't matter. And it really matters. And so I wanted to make something that felt accessible to people. And then, of course, Trump won, and everyone and their mother was doing some sort of political commentary. And me working by myself, I was like, well, this is ridiculous. Every time I write a piece, he's done something more asinine, and then it's like obsolete. So I took this weird break where I thought, what's my point here? And then as we were coming up to the 2020 election, I was like, I got to do something. I have to reach out to young people. I have to try and make a difference here. I can't just sit around and yell at my husband that I'm furious all the time. And honestly, he was like, can you not with the following me around? And so he was like, why don't you put it on TikTok? And I was like, TikTok? I'm not, 21. And I did start putting it on TikTok, and I literally put it in the window of my kitchen. And I don't know if you've seen any of my early stuff. I'm literally in my pajamas. And I got more dressed as we went along, but essentially, I think if people understand, they care. And once they care, then they're engaged, and then we can make real change. And I honestly believe that there are more good people than bad people. And I think there's more people that want to see real change in this country. And there's more people that want America to live up to its ideal and not what we actually are. And we need to come to terms with what we actually are in order to change it. And so that's why I did it. So I'm on TikTok and Instagram at Breakfast Rant, and I'm on Twitter at Politics Girl, at I Am Politics Girl, and YouTube at Politics Girl. So that's me. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry you feel rotten.
Oh,
terrible.
That's all right. I'll make it through. Thank you, huh? You know what? I was already following you on Twitter anyway. But I had like this, I still have a very small Twitter account anyway, but I was already following you on Twitter, and then I saw that you were on TikTok, and I was like, let me scurry on over there. And then when I got to you, you were already following me. And I was like,
I loved you from the beginning. I love your whole attitude. I like being called a player.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel cool when you call me a player.
Exactly.
I was like,
I feel like
she's
you're talking to
already,
me.
I was
Yeah,
like,
I'm part
she's
of the cute. I'm
already
part of the
freaking, I was like, she's already following me. I'm
Yeah,
so
I love
embarrassed.
you. I love what you do. It's so authentic. And you care. That's the point. You like
Right.
see things and you go like, look, this is some bullshit. Like
Right.
we should be talking about this. And that's what we
Exactly.
need for more people. Yeah, no, I
Exactly.
love what you do. Yeah, now I'm all gonna
Mhm.
have to go find Tired of Stupid. First of all, because their handle is brilliant.
Exactly.
But secondly, I'm also tired of stupid. So here I am, Jackie.
Right.
I'm gonna be following you.
Jackie, take it away. Tell us about yourself and what brought you to this place.
Okay, well, what brought me to TikTok was honestly, I have 3 grown sons, and my middle son said to me, Mother, join TikTok. I can send you cool videos and it'll be fun. And so I succumbed to the pressure of my children and joined. And I chose my name because I have been tired of stupid since 2015. And just listening to all of the asinine things coming out of our members of Congress and family members and white supremacists, like I just could not take any more of it. So that's how I came up with my name. So I stumbled onto TikTok for the cute dog videos, but I stayed for the politics because, like I said, you two ladies were the very first people that I started to follow. I immediately sort of gravitated towards political TikTok, and I was looking for voices of reason. And I think that's why Breakfast Rant, you're so good, because people that care are allowed to see someone say the things that we're thinking, and you're so you just lay it all out there, and you have all the facts and there's no arguing with it, and it's just quick and to the point. And the same with you, Double D, is you have a way of delivering the news, things that are relevant to us, that hook us, and we find ourselves nodding along and saying, speak on it or preach, or constantly. So I felt like I sort of found my tribe in the two of you. And it just sort of kind of went from there. I have always had a lot of opinions, and I am the mother of 3 grown sons. So I have a lot of opinions, and I don't mind being loud about my opinions. So that's kind of where it got me, where I am today.
On the tickety talk, and she's tired of stupid on TikTok. You got an Instagram or Twitter? Or
I do have a Tired of Stupid Instagram, but I am this handle is not on Twitter, and I'm rarely, like, TikTok is my job right now. It's kind of where I'm at all the time, and I occasionally push some things to Instagram, but for the most part, this is just I'm slow to start, so I'm still building it up.
It's a lot of work. I don't think people realize how much work it is.
It is.
It's
really
work.
Yeah, I mean, it's a job that doesn't pay me, so yes.
That's what we say all the time. We're like, what am I doing? Did I just spend 10 hours a day working for free? What am I doing?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Well, you guys make sure you go follow, if you're not, Breakfast Rant, and follow Tired of Stupid on TikTok. Make sure you follow Lee on Instagram, as well as Twitter, and YouTube. Make sure you follow.
I've got to get back to my YouTube, because I used to do far longer videos on YouTube. And if you go back to that channel, I do like way bigger things. And I have to go back to doing that because I'd love it. But honestly, between you guys, I think I should probably get a real job. It's a bit stupid at this point. But
honestly, I can't believe you're not already getting paid to do this, to be honest with you.
It's funny. It's a weird world. It's a weird world. But you know what it's like. We're all women who are not 11 years old, and we you start something and you're passionate about it and you like it, but you have to create your own. The kids know it, they get it. You have to create your own opportunities. And I think people who are a little bit older, you're talking about, you have 3 grown sons. I know you have little kids, right? Double D?
Yeah.
Yes. So, you're
man.
busy. You either have you're raising kids, you had kids. My child is, he's in middle school. So we have all the ages there, and it's a lot to be a full-time parent, and then to have a job and to do your thing. And then if you find a passion, then you do that, even whether you're being paid or not. And it's wonderful if you get it. But I think we do it for a bigger purpose than that. I know that I do, and I'm sure you guys do too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're gonna jump right into it. The biggest news of the day is Derek Chauvin was sentenced today. Um, you know, going into talking about this, I just want to say that um, I didn't expect for him to get any more than 10 years, honestly. So to me, him getting the 22 and a half years, it was decent, but I didn't expect anything more than 10 years, honestly. I was kind of concerned with Judge Cahill as I covered the trial. Some of the decisions that he made, I felt were frivolous and not the smartest decision. Like, I feel like he gave him grounds for appeal is in several instances. So I wasn't expecting him to come back with a 22 and a half year sentence. Like not sequestering the jury. That's something that was simple and small to do, but he did not do that, you know. So that, to me, that could be grounds for an appeal. I feel like that was stupid for him not to do that in a case as big as this. And there was a couple of other instances. So they started out today with the prosecution kind of laying down the whole little case or whatever, laying down the whole case. And then his mother was, I guess, his one and only character witness. And I was floored by what she said. She never once mentioned the family of George Floyd. And you know what? I understand you being a mother, because I'm a mother. And I don't want to see, like, somebody might tell me my son, my DJ hit them, and I'm feeling like, no, that can't be my baby. You know, I'm feeling like that, not my son. You know, we're protective over our children. But at the end of the day, you can't possibly be a mother that watched what happened and you think that he's innocent. Those words to me felt so hollow when she said, I feel like he's innocent. I was so outdone with her. You know, I really wanted her to shut the fuck up. And that's just the bottom line. I wanted her to sit down and shut the fuck up, because that was the most outlandish speech that I ever heard. I understand she wanted to appeal to her son. And I could even take the fact that she, you know, told her son, I love you. I'm going to be waiting for you to get home. I could have even taken that, because at the end of the day, that is still her child. But all of this about him being innocent, I mean, honestly, she sounds like she was from the tinfoil hat club. If you really think that this man is innocent after seeing what we saw, you got to be freaking crazy.
Yeah.
So then, so I'm going to explain, then I'm going to play this clip, and then we're going to talk about it. So the next thing that happened was Eric Nelson got up there. He said he wasn't going to go ahead and do his whole spiel about the case. He just kind of laid out what he felt like the sentence should be and why, you know, that sort of thing, which I appreciated. He didn't get up there and stay for 2 or 3 days. I appreciated him doing that, because I could not take any more of his ass either. And then Judge Cahill, they took a recess of 15 minutes, and then Judge Cahill came down with the sentence. So I'm going to play you guys the sentence, and then we're going to talk about it.
As sentence for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270. That is a 10-year addition to the presumptive sentence of 150 months. This is based on your abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd. You are granted credit for 199 days already served. Pay the mandatory surcharge of $78 to be paid from prison wages. You're prohibited from possessing firearms, ammunition, or explosives for the remainder of your life. Provide a DNA sample as required by law. Register as a predatory offender as required by law. And then you will receive a copy of the order and also the attached memorandum explaining the court's analysis. Anything further from the state?
If this needs to be said, we just ask that it be executed forthwith.
Defendant is remanded to the custody of the sheriff to be transported back to the DOC or whichever custody is currently holding him. Anything from the defense? No, Your Honor. All right. Thank you. We are adjourned.
So there's a sentence, 22 and a half years. Also, one more thing, Derek Chauvin had something to say during the sentence, and that bullshit. I mean, he just basically said that there's some stuff that's going to come out later on that will be of interest to everyone. And Lee, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, I mean, listen, you know, I didn't expect too much from the sentencing either. I agree with that. I mean, the thing I like about Minnesota is they have rules that are actually set up in Minnesota so that they are racially and gender neutral. They say, like, here are the parameters, these are the guidelines for these specific crimes, you know. So in this case, an unintentional second-degree murder charge usually comes with 10 to 15 years. So people were saying, okay, so if we look at what the guidelines are, the judge is going to work within that, and he'll probably get 12.5. But then they added this extra 10 to it because they said it was abusing what they just said in that video, abusing his position of authority. And I also thought that the prosecutor made a good point that he had done it in front of children. You know, children were watching. It wasn't just second degree murder. It was second degree murder with child witnesses and people that were saying, like, should we call the police? It is the police, you know, and there is something where it's a position of authority that is so abused. I personally think that the police should be held to a higher standard, not a lower standard. And they seem to get away with everything, whereas I think they should be more accountable for their actions. As far as so 22.5 years to me makes sense. As a police officer, it's very possible he'll spend most of that in solitary because they'll try and keep him safe. But he also has other trials where he might be speaking on behalf or against other police officers. So I don't, I don't think it's a great, I think it's going to not be a great sort of existence for Derek Chauvin, which I think is appropriate. I think that him giving his condolences to the family for his own murder is really something. A heartfelt apology. You know, I'm so sorry. The man has zero remorse. I mean, he really comes off sociopathic. It's like he still thinks what he did wasn't wrong, which concerns me because he trained other officers. That was his job. He had 18 other disciplinary things against him. He'd hit some 14-year-old across the head with a flashlight while he was strangling him. Like this, yes, it was his first offense, but that's only the one he was arrested for. You know what I mean? Like the man has clearly done a lot. And then to sort of take zero responsibility to the family and then say, don't worry, other things are going to come out, which was such a bizarre thing to say. And then his mother, like you said, his mother.
She's not.
It's a family of sociopaths. It's like they're all right. Like they all just don't get it. This sort of like think about our family, and I'm not going to be able to hug my son in prison. And you're like, well, how can George Floyd's daughter hug? Like, are you kidding me right now? We're supposed to feel. And this, I will always believe in your innocence. And I think, yeah, like you said, Double D, like she could say, I will wait for you. I will always be your mother. I will always love you. But to say I will always believe you are innocent is like living in La La Land because we watched it happen. Yeah, no, it was nauseating. It was really bad. I do think that ultimately the verdict was the first step in accountability for an entire group of people that are so rarely held accountable. And I think 22.5 years is about the best we were going to get. That wasn't just going to automatically click into an appeal. I think he's going to spend most of that in solitary, which will be miserable. But I mean, he slowly murdered someone in front of a bunch of witnesses, and we wouldn't know unless one brave teenage girl had taped it. And we have to act like how many people have had this happen to them that wasn't taped.
Exactly.
And I think that's what we need to deal with. Yeah. I think that's really the bigger issue that we need to deal with. Derek Chauvin is just a symptom of a far bigger problem.
Absolutely.
Correct. Jackie, you have any thoughts?
I do. And I'm going to come at it from the being a mother angle. So when my boys were in elementary school, junior high, and high school, I would say to them, if you get in trouble at school, I will go to bat for you. But if you ever lie to me, I will not be able to have your back. Okay. That will be it'll be over. And I think that she missed an excellent opportunity to say to her son, I love you, but I saw what you did. And that isn't okay. and you have to pay for what you did. But instead, she chose to go into this alternate reality where every mother was summoned except her when George Floyd was calling out for his mother. And we didn't all hear it and we didn't all see it. And she chose to go I believe you, baby, you didn't do this, which I find so stunning. This is not a case where there was absolutely no video evidence. And it was the word of, several dozen people that happened to see it. There was video evidence of what happened. And he was extremely callous during the entire process, his hand in his pocket. He intentionally did this. And everyone saw it. And his mother acting like he's just the sweet boy that she raised, and she just doesn't understand how this happened to him. And the audacity on her to tell the judge, if you sentence my son, you're also sentencing me.
What you know what they call that on TikTok? What they call that? White fragility? Using
the caucasity of that statement.
Like, I was disgusted.
Yeah, it was.
It was disgusted.
Absolutely disgusting. And she acted like the entire time that she wasn't there because there is another family that is grieving the permanent loss of their child, their brother, their father.
She never mentioned them.
She never mentioned
them.
She acted like this was, she and Derek were in a vacuum and this was happening to them.
Yeah.
And there was no reason for it.
Maybe she didn't understand what a character witness really was supposed. Maybe she thought that.
I think she showed us who she was, and I think we should believe her.
No, I
can agree with that. I can agree with that. Right. Absolutely.
It almost feels like it's part of a bigger systemic problem right across the country. And you guys are talking about caucasity and stuff. It's like the mother's behavior reminded me of like Brock Turner's mother when he had done, the rapist who raped and everyone. And she was like, he can't eat steak anymore. He doesn't enjoy his meals. He's gotten so skinny. My boy never smiles anymore. And you're like, what? Just a complete clueless oblivion. And I think that anyone as a mother can understand that you want to say like, you love your child no matter what, but you can't accept their behavior no matter what. Right. That's probably how Derek Chauvin got to be Derek Chauvin, honestly. Exactly. And I think overall, it's probably a bigger systemic problem, which is what we're going to talk about later, maybe about this whole critical race theory. It's like there's a whole group of people that don't want to be told that something that happened was bad and looks bad on them. And so you've got this mother who raised this boy who definitely murdered at least one person. Right. And she just can't. She would live, as you said, Jackie, in a vacuum. She would rather live in a complete vacuum.
I can guarantee you.
People would rather live in. They would rather pretend we didn't have slavery, we didn't have Jim Crow, we didn't have, none of this happened, and everything is fine, and it's all good. It's this weird box that particularly white people have put themselves in, where they just cannot accept reality or their responsibility in it.
And there is a subset of white people, like his mother, who refuse to believe that their children do anything wrong.
We all went to school with those people.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Right? But they're like, my child wouldn't do that. And you're have you met your child?
Exactly. I mean, Ted Bundy's mother, I'm pretty sure she was like, oh, well, I don't think he did that. But baby, the evidence is overwhelming. I mean, you need to just let it go. Right. I was extremely disappointed in her. Right. She had an opportunity there.
She did.
She could have explained what she felt of Derek, but she also could have, I'm so sorry for what has happened, for what my son did. I would have threw out. I didn't raise him this way.
Exactly.
I would have said something like that to that effect. Because people go a different path. But I feel like she showed us exactly why Derek Chauvin is in the situation that he's in by her complete and utter narcissistic response. And I just feel like it. I feel like she's a piece of crap, and I feel like that's the reason why her son is like that.
Well, a person on Twitter brilliantly said, if Derek is your favorite son, what are your other two children like? You know?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
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 Dear.
Right. Is this
Oh,
the best your
dear.
family has to offer? Because,
Oh, dear.
oh my gosh.
I mean, she stood up there like he was a savior. Oh, he would come to work. He would call and check into work, even though even though it wasn't his work day. I'm like, shit, I do that all the time. That don't mean
I mean,
anything.
that just makes you
Well,
a member of society.
it's a concept of life only existing within your world.
Exactly.
You know, like my
Exactly.
interaction with him is fine. You know, like
Mhm.
I've
Right.
never said this thing. I've never done this thing. So it doesn't exist. Right. This sort
Right.
of, he calls me. So like he murders other people, but like he's a
Right.
good boy. This,
Exactly.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
people are deliberately clueless.
Yeah. So he got sentenced to 22 and a half years. We can expect some appeals on the horizon, definitely. I really don't need any outrage when it comes down to that, because there's definitely going to be a smorgasbord of them. He's already indicated that there's some more information that's going to come down. I don't know what that information could be.
That was so cryptic.
But I was kind of like, what the fuck is that? And his condolences was a piece of shit too. And what the hell was up with his hair? Where did his hair go?
And at the end of the day, what was this with his hair? I love that. First of all, what's happening with this freaking lid?
Exactly. So
that's what I felt yesterday with Kristen Cinema's outfit at the thing. I was like, what's going on?
Exactly.
I said that.
I know it's
what the hell is
important,
she
but
wearing?
like,
I know this is the least of it, but
So we'll definitely be watching to see what happens. Like I said, he's definitely going to file an appeal. If he doesn't win an appeal, which I don't think that he will, I feel like the prosecution did a really good job buttoning up this case. But we'll definitely see. He may do 15 years, and he's probably going to be out.
Do
But
about 2/3 of it, yeah.
Yeah, and then by the time he gets out, he won't be able to do anything else. He'd be too old to do anything else. But he's not able to have any firearms, so he can't go back to a police officer or anything like that. So you know what I was thinking though, Lee? I'm wondering, do you know? Well, is his ass gonna still be eligible for his pension? I'm wondering, because he resigned.
I don't actually know that. I find it's a good question. It's a good question, because I think the thing about the Chauvin trial is that, yes, it can all come down to one man and what he did and George Floyd's life and how awful the whole thing was. But I think we have to constantly take a macro view of it and say, like, Jesus, we really need to reevaluate the police in general, right? Like,
yes.
Like if you go to jail for a crime, there should be no question. You shouldn't be asking me if he's going to get his pension. There should be no question, right?
Exactly.
Why is their training so short? Why don't they have to have personal liability insurance like doctors do, and people, so that it's like, if I had 18, calls against me, I couldn't get insured to be a police officer because I keep strangling children on the street, right? Like, I can no longer be a cop. Their training should be longer. They should have to, they should have to constantly reevaluate the officers as they go through. I'm not saying you have to have a college degree to become a police officer, but I'm saying, why isn't the police academy a 2 to 4 year program? Why shouldn't they have to learn the law to enforce the law? Why should nurses have to deal with frantic people in ERs without killing them, but cops who are trained to de-escalate situations are constantly killing people because they were, in fear for their lives? Like, I believe they should be held to a higher standard if they're going to be law enforcement officers. And I think it's a far bigger issue. The fact that you're asking me if he gets to keep his pension, and I'm like, Jesus, I don't know. Like, that's a real problem, right?
Exactly.
That's a real problem. When I was a kid and I went to an acting conservatory, okay? It was a 2-year program. And every 6 months, they would reevaluate if we were good enough to stay, right? They would be like, do you have what it takes to be a professional actor? Are you going to do this? Did you do well enough in this? And I was like, Jesus, the police academy should have just as much, due diligence as acting conservatories, right? That are like, we don't think you have it. I think you should leave. Like,
there's not even as much due diligence to be a cop as there is to be a cosmetologist.
Racist. You should not move on and get your badge and your gun. Like, the end. We should have so many different rules. And I think that there was something moving about the protest that came out of last summer and George Floyd's terrible, terrible demise, in that I believe that even the people that were the most asleep at the wheel couldn't miss it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always likened it to, you know, the primordial ooze where your little tadpole gets one leg. You know what I mean? It's like, does that mean I'm going to be walking out onto land like tomorrow? Like, oh, we're leaving racism behind. No. But their leg's not going back in, right? Like we all saw it happen. We went like, holy shit. I have spent this past year just my awareness of the police and how ill-trained they are and how an entire group of people have to train their children differently, behave differently, act differently. What a luxury for me that I thought police were someone I would go to for help. I mean, how ridiculous is that? That there's another whole part of the country that does not look at it like that, you know?
Correct.
And it embarrasses me that it took me so long to see it, but I know there's so many people that feel the same way and are like, well, we're not going back, you know, we're not going back. We have to ask for more. We have to do better. Yeah, no, I had a huge conversation with the LAPD. They called me for money recently and I went off on him, the poor guy. I mean,
So just
but at the end, I thought, you know, like if you guys held yourselves more accountable, then we wouldn't have to, and we could trust you. And nobody trusts you guys right now. So no, I'm not sending you money. Do better.
Right.
Well, our next story here, you all, I got to get to this one because this is my absolute favorite. And I'm just going to say that it's time for some consequences.
Oh, there's a dance. There's a dance.
You guys, so I got a special guest that wants to come in and tell us all about our next little ditty that we're going to discuss. And I'm going to bring them right up on the screen, okay? Here we go.
Okay.
Hi, my fellow Americans. Today it's my fellow Americans, not just my fellow New Yorkers. As you may have heard recently, a few minutes ago, my father's law license was suspended by the New York State First Appellate Division of the Supreme Court. Now, the 5 judges that ruled on it, Judge Rolanda Acosta, Judge Diane Renwick, Judge Sally Daniels, Judge Judith Gishi, and Judge Barbara Kaepernick. All 5 of them are Democrats, 3 of which were appointed by Andrew Cuomo. 5-0, ultimately. Democrats with 0 Republicans on there. Again, this is just unbelievable to see just how politicized all of this has become. I am infuriated by all of this, and any American that believes in an independent justice system, this is going after one of President Trump's closest allies. That's exactly what this is. And any American that doesn't believe that, they are just biased. This is unacceptable, and I stand by my father. He did everything ultimately by the book, and the fact that there would be this politicization in our Justice Department is disgusting. It is a cancer that needs to be cut out, and it needs to be cut out right now. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned. I'll have more statements later in the day.
I love it.
Did y'all see the Taco Bell?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sir, this is a Taco Bell.
First
of all, that original video was also like, he was like, I just want to say, here's the thing. I was trying to come up with a, between two ferns thing for him because it was between 2 parking spots. Like when you look behind him, you're like, Andrew, dear, what are you doing?
Exactly. And he was talking so fast.
He's
always
Dude.
fast. He always sounds like he, I mean,
tell me you did coke without telling me.
The whole crew, and they're always furious. They're always talking like,
right. I like the way that he called out all of the judges by name. So if you're listening, you can just go do what you want to these judges because now you have their information and you can just dox them however you want. That wasn't an accident.
I love that he didn't bother to read them through first either. He's like,
he didn't.
I think that's how you
I
say
didn't get that one right.
Exactly.
The irony of this man talking about an independent justice system after the Trump DOJ was like trying to sue Saturday Night Live. I mean, like it was the least independent justice system. Like, I mean, I've never seen things come out every single day and you're like, oh my God, like we all knew it. We all knew we were living through some weird attempt at authoritarianism, but the more that comes out and then you've got this ridiculous creature screaming about independent justice system and how, I mean, I'm surprised you didn't say witch hunt because it's just their favorite thing to say.
Exactly.
Giuliani is facing disciplinary procedures because they're trying to like fix the bar. He's making all law look terrible. He's been temporarily suspended in New York. He's still got a license to practice in Washington, as far as I understand. But you know, they said he's misled judges and lawmakers and the public, and you know, he did all of those things. He went to how many court cases and just blatantly lied about voting machines and rigging. And you know, I was like, okay, well, next do Sidney Powell, do Lynn Wood, do all these other lawyers that have just
Sidney Powell is next.
Yeah.
Sidney Powell is next. She's definitely going to get it. They've already put in a disciplinary review on her, and I believe that it's going to be the same outcome as with Rudy Giuliani. I wouldn't be surprised if Rudy Giuliani's license gets revoked. Honestly,
he should be disbarred. They should all be disbarred.
Absolutely.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
You can't just lie. You can represent your client as hard as you want, but you can't blatantly lie. That's against what the bar has asked them to be, you know?
Right.
He's saying, you know, they said he's an immediate threat to the public, which I think he is.
I mean,
and then
obviously.
he directly inflamed the tensions that led to the Capitol riot, which he definitely did. He asked for trial by combat. You know, that's what he said. Live in front of all of us. So to pretend now he's like some creature who's just being, you know, persecuted by the horrible Democrats. There's 5 of them. Here's their names. Like, give me a break. You know, it's completely fair. He is a threat. He lied around the country, which led to this big lie that's carried on, that's now giving us all these voter suppression laws all around the country, because they're doubling down on like, while the elections aren't safe, the Democrats stole the election. He's not really the president. That's all Giuliani and his crew. So
Rudy
Giuliani should be a lawyer.
Well, the human skid mark Giuliani, he responded last night on OAN, and I just want y'all to see what he had to say really quick.
Oh, gosh.
Well, I'm not very happy about this. I love practicing law. It's my passion. I've done it for 50 years. I've done it for 50 years without, I think, a single complaint ever. I've been involved in some of the most bitter litigation imaginable, never had charges like this. And I've had my life threatened any number of times for the cases that I brought that I think really helped my country. And I don't appreciate these. I mean, I don't know exactly what I can say and what I can't say. All I can tell you is America is not America any longer. We do not live in a free state. We live in a state that's controlled by the Democrat Party, by Cuomo, de Blasio, and the Democrats. We have a double standard. There's no doubt if I was representing Hillary Clinton, I'd be their hero. I represented my client so effectively.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's.
I'm sorry, I had to get that from Newsmax.
I was like, I'm officially stupider. Thank you for that, Newsmax TV.
Oh,
well,
Lord.
Jackie, you have anything to say about that?
I find it funny that he's decided that America is no longer America because the Democrats are running everything, except there's 200 plus pieces of legislation throughout the country and in several states that are trying to suppress the vote. So, I mean, that's not very democratic. But sure, go off. I mean, it's like, yeah. I mean, just decide that because we have a Democratic president and a Democratic House and just barely a Democratic Senate, that yes, this is why your life is the way it is. It's not because they literally cited all of your words when you said them and used the media outlets that you said them on as evidence against you. I mean, dude, you dug your own grave. And this is no one's fault but your own. The problem with the entire Trump administration is that no one has known when to shut up, which is good for us because it makes it easy to prosecute them. But they just give us all the information and all the evidence. But yeah, I mean, they're all living in a parallel universe.
I say that all the time. Like we were so lucky. These people were so inept.
Yes.
Because I mean,
absolutely.
The implications of what they were actually trying to do is so unbelievable and terrifying. And what they're going to do moving forward if we allow it, you know, like I say all the time, they're beta testing fascism in Florida. Like the things that DeSantis is doing right now is it's the way they wanted the federal government to work.
Yes,
and so,
absolutely.
America is no longer America because he's being held accountable. I mean, Jesus Christ, we may as well go back to the Chauvin trial. It's like these people that just live in the bubble that their actions, they don't have to hold any accountability for their own actions. And he's saying, I've been practicing law for 50 years. I'm like, Rudy, you haven't practiced law for easily 10 years. You sold cigars. You did a bunch of garbage. You were the mayor for a while. Then you were, he hasn't actually practiced law until he was representing Trump in a while, truly.
Right.
And then on top of that, he said, I've never had any complaints. He had at least 3 ethic complaints publicly filed against him. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I mean, it's all just I'm not very happy. I'm quite upset. You're like, well, yeah, because you're being held accountable. And people like you are not used to being held accountable. And you can see that in your son's behavior. He's like, it's not fair, man. I think of that meme with that little kid having a tantrum.
Yes.
That's what it looks like, but in a grown ass man.
I mean, it's white male privilege. They're like, I am a white male. This is not supposed to be happening to me. I don't know why y'all are doing this. We had a deal. No.
Yeah, no. Right. And I think the thing is that that's the thing. The deal is ending. And there's a whole group of people that are really, really mad about that.
Yes.
And that is anyone that's not a woman, anyone that's not a person of color, anyone that's not a marginalized community. We're all saying hey, actually, we would like to be part of this. And we would like to be part of the decisions. And we would like to be, we don't love it the way it's been going. And clearly you're favoring the same people over and over again. And we have a different justice system. And we have a different system of law for different people. And we don't want that anymore. And, the people that brought down this thing for Giuliani, they said, the seriousness is uncontributed. This misconduct can't be overstated. What he did is tearing apart the country. And it continues to attack the legitimacy of the 2020 election and our democracy in general. So this idea that he's just a victim of the evil Democrats, when every single Democrat knows that we're losing our mind because we don't have enough power, as if we have enough power, people would actually be being held accountable. And this is the very first person that we're like, oh, we got a tiny bit of what might be coming to him.
Exactly.
That's hardly some terrible witch hunt. There's so much that needs to be, we just need to, it should be indictment after indictment after indictment after indictment. These people have broken so many laws, and regular people who are watching it and paying attention. It's something to be believed.
Rudy Giuliani, Rudy Giuliani is time. Human skid mark Giuliani is time to pay some consequences.
Let's do it.
They did go to court yesterday for the Dominion voting machines here. Him and Sidney Powell, they were in court on that. So I'm definitely.
He didn't go. He didn't show.
Oh well, his lawyer. Well, this lawyer.
I know, but he should have been there.
Well, he probably was too ashamed.
He was supposed to be there for his defamation.
I was looking at the live updates with Zoe. That was she was doing live updates on Twitter. So I was looking at her that she works for BuzzFeed. I was looking at her and I was like, wow. I mean, I just can't believe it. They were actually in there trying to spin the voter fraud inside of the damn courtroom again. And I'm like, Giuliani, didn't they just take your law license today, and then you're still in the courtroom trying to push this bullshit ass voter fraud crap? Well, I guess that's the hill you're gonna die on. So just go ahead and do it.
Yeah. I mean, if you've painted yourself that deep into a corner, what do you have?
Yeah. Well, the next thing we'll talk about, because we're running out of time. You know what? And this is the first.
We're running out of time. That's
we're running out of time. Yeah. You know what? I feel so awful that I'm not even upset about it today. Normally I get a little sad, but I'm saying we're gonna take it out with this. We may have time for 2 stories, depending. For the People Act was turned down this week. It didn't pass. I do have that on my list on it because I got Lee keeps looking at her list every time.
I'm like, what are we? We said we would talk about this. You can't do you wrong. I'm a nerd. What can I say?
Good. Okay. The For the People Act. So this week it went before the Senate. Of course, it failed, like we knew that it would. They couldn't get enough votes for for the filibuster. They had to get 60. They didn't get it, but at least every Democrat voted for it. I was very surprised to see that Kristen Sinema. Well, I wasn't surprised to see Kristen Sinema because she sponsored the bill, so I knew she would vote for it. But I was surprised that Joe Manchin came back at the very last fucking second and said that he would vote for it. I think it was maybe like a couple of hours before they did the vote that he actually said that he would vote for it. But it did not pass. So the For the People Act is shelved at this point. I want to play you guys a clip of what Chuck Schumer had to say about the situation on the Senate floor after it was all said and done. Give me just one moment here. I'll pull it up.
The motion is not agreed to.
Madam President.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Madam President, I want to be clear about what just happened on the Senate floor. Every single Senate Republican just voted against starting debate on legislation to protect Americans' voting rights. Once again, the Senate Republican minority has launched a partisan blockade of a pressing issue here in the United States Senate, an issue no less fundamental than the right to vote. Could we have order, Madam President?
The Senate will be in order.
I've laid out the facts for weeks. Republican state legislatures across the country are engaged in the most sweeping voter suppression in 80 years, capitalizing on and catalyzed by Donald Trump's big lie. These state governments are making it harder for younger, poorer, urban, and non-white Americans to vote. Earlier today, the Republican leader told reporters that, quote, regardless of what may be happening in some states, there's no rationale for federal intervention. The Republican leader flatly stated that no matter what the states do to undermine our democracy, voter suppression laws, phony audits, partisan takeovers of local election boards, the Senate should not act. My colleagues, if senators 60 years ago held that the federal government should never intervene to protect voting rights, this body would have never passed the Voting Rights Act. The Republican leader uses the language and the logic of the Southern senators in the 60s who defended states' rights, and it is an indefensible position for any senator, let alone the minority leader, to hold. And yet that was the reason given for why Republicans voted in lockstep today. Regardless of what may be happening in some states, there's no rationale for federal intervention. That is both ridiculous and awful.
Yeah. So that's what Chuck Schumer had to say. Everybody was pretty disappointed in what happened. Mitch McConnell was floating on cloud nine after, of course, because he's done what he set out to do, which was to block any initiative that the Democrats would like to accomplish. So I would love to know what you think about that, Jackie.
First of all, Mitch McConnell has been an obstructionist. He has not done his job since the Obama administration. And how he keeps getting elected is completely beyond me. This was a vote to even just discuss it. Okay, this wasn't even a vote to pass the legislation. This was a vote to begin a discussion about it. And they don't even want to have a discussion, which I think for Americans are not paying attention. This is not just going to affect Democrats. This is going to affect everyone. The voter suppression that's being passed, those lines don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. You're just in that line. And they feel like that if they don't continue to rig the system, they will not get elected, which is a reality that we all see and that they see. And this makes me aggravated. This is the shit that I'm tired of. Let's just have a conversation about it. You know, you could have voted to just have the conversation, and then, I mean, we know that they're not going to vote for it, but they didn't even give their constituents anything to fall back on. Like,
That's true.
I don't understand any of that. They
You
can't
know
even
what?
go and say, hey, listen, I agreed to talk about it, but they wouldn't agree with me. And so here we are. They're just like, we're not talking about it.
I forgot about that part to tell you guys that part. That was just for the debates. That
Right.
wasn't even for the actual act. That was to have the debates.
Right.
It's terrible. My goodness.
Yeah, and for your constituents to see that you're not even interested in having a conversation. And these are grown-up people that have jobs, that have to have conversations with people at work in order to get things done. And they're paying these people $175,000 a year, and they don't even want to have a conversation.
Right. Lee? Uh-oh.
I think we lost Jackie.
She'll be back. Hopefully. Okay.
Well, no, I mean, they don't want to have a conversation because they're winning. I mean,
right.
They don't have to have a conversation. We're coming up on redistricting this summer. We had the census. We're going to redistrict. The redistricting serves them. There are more states that have partisan redistricting that favor the Republicans. They can draw the lines so they look like Crenshaw's district or Jim Jordan's district, that look like these bananas shapes that, you just go, I want this voter and this voter and this voter and this voter. And it's the weirdest, they know they're going to win. We only have a 6-seat, difference in the House. They can make that up by just partisan gerrymandering. So even if you didn't put in any of the voter suppression, which they're putting everywhere, the worst one being there are certain laws in almost 40 states have been put in now that the Republican legislatures can overturn the actual election itself. They can say, I know you all voted for X, but we're going to make you vote for Y. They're literally putting that in as a law. So we get all, bent out of shape about you can't give water to someone in line, but it's actually more important that they're putting in rules that, yes, favor themselves. Yes, make it harder for certain people to vote. Yes, make it so your 4-hour wait in line is absolutely terribly miserable. But then they're making laws that you can change the vote of the state. Mm-hmm. So why would they debate a bill that is going to put sweeping voter rights across the country? Because they already can't win on their ideas. They already can't win on their on the merit of their party. So they can only win by suppressing votes, changing votes, and not expanding votes. And so we're not getting anything unless we either break up the bill into piece by piece so Americans can see what they're voting against. So it's not just some big broad bill that we don't know. So we say, today the Senate is voting on expanding voting rights to everyone in the country. And the Republicans are like, no. Then you'd go, well, hold on, why no, right? Like you would notice. Right now with the filibuster the way it is, if we don't suspend the filibuster, get rid of the filibuster, do something, we're not getting any voters' rights because it serves them not to have it. Do you know what I mean?
Correct. It absolutely.
And it's very depressing because it's not like the Democrats didn't know that was coming. So they sort of need to find the collective will to save democracy. Otherwise, they will just lose by doing nothing.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the majority of the country. That's the majority of the country, that wants voter rights and gun legislation and a higher minimum wage and safe drinking water. And this is not what Republicans want. Republicans don't want any of that. And they keep their base fired up based on cultural issues and fear mongering and these people are gaslighting because they don't actually have any policies to stand on. The thing is that once you get good policies passed, it's very hard to remove them. That's why the ACA, they've tried to get rid of it a million times and they can't because ultimately people love it. And so you can't just take it away once you've given it to people. So if you give people sweeping voter rights and you make it easier to vote and you make, a voting day a holiday and you do all this stuff to make it's going to be very hard to take it back from people. And the Republicans know that. So they don't want to give us anything because they're already on the path to win if we do nothing. And so it's up to the Democrats to do something.
Right. I agree. I agree. You know, it was very unfortunate to see that happen. I really was hoping for something different, but at the end of the day, I knew, even though I was hoping, I knew what was going to happen. Everybody knew. We have such a small, margin, small lead in the Senate that it's, that it's going to happen like this unless we do something about the filibuster. And honestly,
Well,
the way
you have
Kristen Sinema was talking about that in her op-ed the other day, I do not think that we will do anything about the filibuster. I feel like we're going to stay in this space until we can. I don't even know. I mean, I don't know what we could do about it other than getting rid of Kristen Sinema and getting somebody else. But that's going to change a whole another.
yeah,
That's
but
going to
she's
be a
there.
whole other
She's
time.
there until
2024.
2024 anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
So
it's more like I think you have to think way outside the box on this. You need to at least, we can't count on just the courts to protect us. We
right.
really have to, because we're under siege, and anyone that doesn't think voting rights are under siege isn't paying attention.
Correct.
And so we really need to be very aware of what's happening and very aware of what the Republicans are counting on, because if they get the House, I mean, it'll be a disaster, because the House is in charge of impeachment. The House is in charge of, solidifying the vote for the next presidential election. The House is in charge of everything. And if you don't think they're going to, impeach Biden for whatever, impeach Kamala Harris, whatever, just stymie the entire Democratic and majority will of the people, they will do it.
Now, Lee, let me ask you this. How do you feel about this bipartisanship that okay, so President Biden comes out, he's talking about how they got a bipartisan bill for the infrastructure or whatever. And we're running out of time, guys. So if you have any questions, please put it in the comments. We're running out of time. We're going to go ahead and hit this one up really quick. And then, Jackie, if you're in here, just click the link again and come back. And I can add you back to, just click the link again and come back to the chat. I don't have her phone. She didn't give me her phone number like you did. So click the link and come back into the chat. Come back and I'll add you back in. But I don't think
Joe Biden promised, he was elected and he promised bipartisanship, right? He said, I've been here for forever. I know how to work with people. So he has to do what the guys at Crooked Media always say. He has to get caught trying, right? He said, I'm going to do bipartisanship. And we all go like, with these guys, like how, right?
Right.
But he said, I'm doing it. He's been in the Senate since he was 30 years old, right? Like he knows the American government. Like he gets it. Is it annoying? Yes. Do I wish we could just crush the GOP and move forward without them right now? Yes. Do I wish that Manchin and Sinema and the others that are probably hiding behind them going, it's them, it's not us, would just be brave enough to get rid of the filibuster and have the Senate function the way it was meant to function, which is just a straight majority rule. That's how it was created to function. And the reason we have so much dysfunction is because of the filibuster. So do I wish that we could just get rid of that? Yes, I do. But that aside, Biden, he's sticking with what he proposed. He's given his word. He says they've given their word. And he said, none of us got what we wanted, which is, it's unfortunate, but it's also how a real compromise works. If you and I go into a negotiation and you get everything you want, then it wasn't a good negotiation. If I get everything I want, it wasn't a good negotiation. We both leave the meeting a little pissed off, then it was probably a good compromise, right?
But Lee, let me say this. My issue is, okay, they say that this is bipartisan and that they're, how do you really think they're going to vote for it? Because the Republicans often talk about this is bipartisan. Like they came in with the American Rescue Plan saying that, but none of them voted for it. You remember they came in, we want this, we want this, we want this, but none of them voted for it. Do you think this is going to be the same thing with the infrastructure?
I don't know. Here's what I think. I think they negotiated in good faith. They said, here, we want it, like the White House negotiated in good faith and said, we want to do a bipartisan bill. Here's a bipartisan bill. I have agreed to sign this bipartisan bill. Now, neither Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, or Mitch McConnell have signed on to this bill, right? Like none of the leaders have signed on yet. So far, they have 21 senators total that have signed on to this. And Nancy Pelosi has said she's not doing this bill, which is a way watered down version of his original plan, unless it is paired with another bill that includes all of the things that they really want. So what she said is, we will, if the Senate votes for this infrastructure bill that is bipartisan, that has been agreed upon by both sides, I will then bring it to the floor. If the Senate agrees to this other bill, which the other bill they will do through what's called reconciliation, so they don't need any Republicans, right? They can do it because it's all based on money, and they can do like the human infrastructure stuff and the childcare stuff and the home care and, you know, way more environmental stuff, which is what the far left is really upset about, that's missing from this bill. But that would be all done in reconciliation. So it's two bills. One is the agreed upon bipartisan bill, which is way down, doesn't go after the rich people for the money, has all these sort of like weird ways to pay for it. And then this one is the much bigger bill, reconciliation, that would be passed just with all the Democrats. And Nancy Pelosi has said, okay, listen, if you can get both those bills passed in the Senate, if all the Democrats agree to move forward with the big bill that includes all the human infrastructure and the climate change, and the Republicans agree to move forward with the bipartisan infrastructure bill that pays for it the way they wanted and has way less things that we wanted, then I'll bring it to the House and I will get the majority of the House, which is my majority, to vote for it. And both bills will pass. And Biden has said, I will sign that. So it is possible, because it is possible. Will the Republicans allow Joe Biden this kind of a frickin' win? That's less possible. So. However, they would need to explain to their constituents why we're not spending $109 billion on roads and bridges, or putting broadband in their neighborhoods, or fixing the water thing, or doing, $66 billion for trains or public transit, or that kind of thing. They would have to explain why they said no to that, because a lot of people are like, those are good jobs. Those will help my neighborhood. Those will clean our water system. The Republicans would have to turn all that down to give a finger to Biden. And that's going to be hard for them to explain at home. Yeah. Because they already got what they wanted. That's why it's bipartisan. And then the other bill that includes everything the left really wants is a completely separate bill that can go through reconciliation, and they would just need all 50 Democrats to agree. So listen, it's possible. Do I think the Republicans are going to try and give Biden a win? I do not. But it would be very hard for them to explain to their constituents why they're not getting broadband and clean water and brand new jobs. So,
all righty. Well, we'll definitely see what happens. I know.
Wait and see, right? Wait and see.
We'll definitely see what comes out in the Washington Arrangement. I'm very interested to see. I am very skeptical with the Republicans as far as bipartisanship, because again, I see them through over this course of time since Biden has been president, say they're going to do something and then they don't do it.
They've straight up said they don't want to do anything with us, right?
Yeah,
Mitch McConnell's been out there saying that. Like, I want no success for that.
Did you hear when he said the stuff about SCOTUS, about how he's going to try to block the SCOTUS?
Yeah. I mean, what is he even doing? Like, I understand what he's doing. I think Jackie made a good point when she said, like, he's not been doing his job. And my brain was like, unless you see his job as working for his corporate overlords and making sure the Republicans stay in power, in which case he's doing his job perfectly. And what we actually need is a Democratic Mitch McConnell who's like a throat ripper. You know what I mean? Yep. Like, that's what we need. And God bless Chuck Schumer. I love him, but I want someone with bloodlust to be in charge of the Senate.
I call Mitch McConnell, but Mitch McConnell's been in the Senate so long, I call him the slickest bitch, because he's slick. Do you remember when that stuff happened, where they was trying to get the $2,000? Guys, I know we're running over time, so let me tell you this real quick. You remember when they had the $2,000 that they were trying to get in the stimulus before Biden was president or whatever, and then Mitch McConnell comes back and tries to attach it to getting rid of the 223, oh my God, what was it? It was something about the military or something. He tried to attach it to that in order to get it. And I made a video and I said, Mitch McConnell, that slick bitch, because he figured out a way to do it. Like, he didn't want to do the $2,000. He knew that the Democrats were not going to, it was something about attacking social media. That shit was social media that Trump wanted. He attached them both together. I promise that was the slickest move that I had ever seen. I said, this motherfucker here, he done been here too long. But the thing is, President Biden has been there just as long. So he knows some of them slick ass moves as well.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But President Biden has hope for the country, and Mitch McConnell lives in cynicism. And And you have to understand that Mitch McConnell is, he's an evil genius and he's not on our team. And so we need someone that is going to think at the same level he does. We need our own slick bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you guys, we're at the end of the show. I would like to thank everybody for coming and joining us. We didn't get to half the topics that we had.
No, you should see our list.
Yeah,
she did so well. Way to go, Double D.
I'm tired. I swear I'm ready to get off here. But this is the part of the show that I love to do. I done waited too late because some of my people done left. It's my time to beg. So if you guys want to help make our show, and help me tip our guests, please Venmo Double D Mother 85 or Cash App Tiffany C Jones 85 so I can send. I always tip my guests, Lee. I don't tell anybody that I tip. Yeah, so I'm gonna send you a tip when this is over with. So
that's so nice. And I'll donate it to someone. I'll donate it to that great guy in Arkansas running for governor.
Yes, Chris.
Yes,
oh my
Chris
goodness.
Jones.
Chris Jones. Yes.
Yes.
So I'm gonna send you. So you just send me your Venmo on the text message or Cash App, and I'll send you a little tip. But if you guys want to help me give her a nice tip and give Jackie a tip, because I'm gonna give her a tip as well. Make sure you guys Venmo or Cash App me, and also help us improve the broadcast. We thank you all for joining us today, Lee. I really appreciate it. Jackie, I don't know if you're out there watching, but I really appreciate you for coming on the show, and I would love to have.
I'm totally gonna look tired of stupid up.
Oh my God, I'm so glad that you were able to make it, and I hate that I'm not feeling good. So that means you got to come back.
Feel better. I will.
But you got to come back when I'm feeling good, so that way we can try.
I talk my face off because poor you. You're like feeling so good. I was like, oh my God, Lee, you're talking like a mile a minute. Good Lord.
I knew what you were doing. I appreciate you for filling in that slack. Because look, I had nothing. You saw when I did this. I had nothing. I'm trying to hold myself up over here. So
well, you're taller than Andrew Giuliani was in his video. So there you go. More than I had.
You definitely got to come back. I'm telling you, we're going to have a good time.
Okay,
thank you all. Thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it. Make sure you follow Breakfast Rants on Twitter, Instagram, and The Politics Girl on Twitter.
I am Politics Girl.
I am Politics Girl on Twitter, and make sure you follow Jackie, Tired of Stupid, on TikTok and Instagram. You guys have a great evening. Thank you guys so much. And you guys take care. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Hey, players. It's time for another riveting episode of Playing Stupid Games.